Welcome back to Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 237 as we continue our second Canadian whiskey tournament and Family Feud number 3. Coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026, where it is 63 degrees. A year ago, I studied 5 basic blended whiskeys from Canada: Seagram's VO, Canadian Mist, Canadian Club 1858, Black Velvet, and Crown Royal Fine Deluxe. Canadian Club 1858 won that tournament. But this year we're going to go up to the next level, and I am currently studying Seagram's VO Gold right here and Seagram's VO Black, and conducting a little Family Feud tournament that includes the basic VO. And so far, VO has lost to both the gold and the black. So today, we're going to be pitting VO Gold against VO Black to determine the champion of the VO family. Now, the rules when I conduct one of these tournaments. I've already reviewed both of these whiskeys on my show, and will evaluate them based on their history, their bottles, labels, marketing, the visual appearance, their composition, price, value, and availability, and then we put them in blacked out glasses and mix them around so that I don't know which is which, and judge them based on their nose, taste, mouthfeel, burn, and finish. So the main thing I'm looking for is simply which whiskey do I prefer, the drinkability. In case of a tie, price, value, and availability will break the tie, usually. In glass number 1 is the VO Gold, and glass number 2 is the black. You'll be able to see the numbers on the bottom of the glasses, but I won't. I've already mixed these up. So first of all, for history, VO Gold was released in 1998, but VO Black is somewhat of a mystery whiskey, in that I could not find any information about it at all. I know that Crown Royal released Crown Black in 2010, so I kind of think the VO Black may have come out just after that, but I don't know. So VO Gold wins in the history department. Bottle, label, and marketing. Now, oddly, each of the 3 VO bottles is very different from the others. There's these 2, and then the original. So we have a family of 3, and yet 3 very different bottles. Even the labels are different. So I don't know. I tend to go with the gold bottle and label. And clearly the marketing also favors gold, because black is simply too hard to find. And there's just not much information out there on the internet about it. Couldn't find, it's not even listed on the Sazerac website, and Sazerac is who owns the brand. So black is a mystery whiskey. Gold wins bottle, label, and marketing. Appearance. I look at the colors of these whiskeys, and what I see is that the VO Gold is a shade darker than the black. The gold is an 8-year, the black is a non-age stated, so maybe that's the difference, even though this is a 90 proof versus an 80 proof. So for appearance, I go with the darker whiskey, VO Gold. Composition, again, I'm not able to find anything close to a mash bill for either whiskey, but I can imagine that, they're probably identical. But to me, they both taste corn heavy. They taste like a corn whiskey to me. Now, the gold is 80 proof, but it does have an age statement on here of 8 years. The black, on the other hand, is non-age stated, but it is a 90 proof. So we've got a proof advantage here, but an age advantage here. And I'm going to go with, for composition, I'm going to go with gold for the win, because both bottles have the proof listed, but this one's got the age listed. So composition, gold for the win. I think you see which direction this contest is going. Price, value, and availability. For gold, Goody Goody has it for $24.99 here in Fort Worth. Specs Liquors had it for $24.20. Total Wine did not have this in 750, but it did have a 1.75 for $42.99. Black, on the other hand, was about the same price as the regular VO, $21.99. But neither Specs nor Goody Goody had this listed, so only Total Wine had it. So I think, the price and the value for this one is okay. You're gonna pay a little bit more for the gold, but with the VO you get the 90 proof. So there's some issues there, but availability for black is extremely low. When I first heard stories about this being out, I couldn't find it on the internet. I couldn't find it in the stores for months. And then I started, wondering, well, maybe it's just not in our area. And then I found it at Total Wine. I was able to pick it up. But this is just hard to find and not much information out there. So really, for price, value, and availability, the gold is going to win as well. All right, let's look now at the nosing and tasting of these whiskeys. I will start on my left. Sweetness, sweet whiskey smell, a little bit of corn, maybe a hint of wood. Yeah, some wood, corn. I don't know about much else. Gentle nose, but a pleasant nose. The one on my right. Very similar nose, but perhaps a little bit weaker. Yeah, very similar noses, but the one on the right is just a little bit on the weak side, more tame. So I'm going to say the one on the left wins the nose. Let's go to the tasting. And usually if I've got one that won the nose, then I taste the weaker nose first. So here we go. The one on the right. VO is just a very pleasant, nice tasting whiskey. But again, it's very corn forward, I think. This one, get that corn right off the bat, corn sweetness. But I think, this is what I was afraid of, I think this is glass 2, because the burn on here was a little bit more noticeable. The mouth feels pretty good. Taste. These are all going to taste a lot alike. So, that's a nice corn forward, a little bit of oak, not much, a little bit of spice maybe. That is a nice pour. So, that's the one on the right. But see, if I remember right, I think the black had less of a nose than the gold, which means if that's the black, if that's glass number 2, I started with the higher proof, and now I'm going to drop down in proof for the gold. And that is always problematic on a one-on-one competition, stepping down in proof. So we'll see, but this one did win the nose. All right, so the one on the left. All right, now that a little bit less intense flavor, a little bit more spice. Wow, that's almost like some kind of spice cake flavor going on there. What's up with that? Corn is a little bit more muted. The mouthfeel is richer. The burn is not as pronounced as the first one. I'm convinced this is glass number 1, the gold. Neither of these has much of a finish. They're both a little bit lame on the finish. Well, this one clearly had the mouthfeel, and the taste was a little bit different. Yeah, the mouthfeel on that is definitely richer. But the flavors are subtly different on that one. A little bit more spice content. Now, this is going to be hard. Which one do I like to drink the most? Just going off of these two. This one's a bit more bold, sweeter, but not quite as spicy. Definitely more of a burn. Mouthfeel, not quite as rich. Neither of these has much of a finish. Wow. There's some subtle differences here, but to decide which one is better, this may be, well, on Monday I like glass on the left, and on Tuesday I like the glass on the right. This will be difficult. It may come down to price, value, and availability. One on the left again. I'm going to say, based on taste and burn, the one on the right. Mouthfeel, the one on the left. So mouthfeel, burn, and finish is going to be a tie. Wow. All right, I'm going to have to guess which is which. I'm going to say this one on the right that I think tastes a little bit better for me, and it definitely's got a little bit more of a burn. I think this is glass number 2. I think it's the black. And I'm correct. Okay, and then the one with the better mouthfeel, the one on the right, or the one on the left, there, that's the gold. So, which one do I like the best to drink? The one on the left had the better nose. The taste went to the one on the right. Mouthfeel on the left, burned the one on the right. Finish was a tie. I'm going to have to go with price, value, and availability. And that category went to gold because it's simply more available. So I'm going to say gold is the winner. And it's both of these are good. They're decent. But when it comes to, flavor, the one on the right, I think I prefer drinking it the most. but the one on the left had the nose, it had the mouth feel. I'm going to have to stick with the one on the left as the winner based on price, value, and availability, because the black, just good luck finding it. Okay, so we have a winner, VO Gold, but this was, you know, a very close contest. And you can find this, and I would suggest, you know, you might give it a try. So here's the winner, VO Gold, for the Family Feud number 3. Well, that does it. You know, normally, well, a lot of times I'll give a cocktail to the winner. But in the wintertime, I'm not that big on cocktails. I just don't like as many iced drinks in the wintertime. So we'll pass on the cocktail. And this whiskey just doesn't do much for me in a cocktail. It could go in a 7-Up. It could go in a ginger ale. But I'm just not going to do that today. So next up, what happens next on the channel? We will continue our Canadian whiskey studies and the tournament. And we'll start a family feud with the Canadian Club whiskeys. We're going to, last time we evaluated Canadian Club, and then I've looked at Canadian Club Rye, Canadian Club 1858, a year ago. And then recently, a few months ago, I looked at Canadian Club Rye in my Texas Rye whiskey studies. So I'm going to do a competition between the Canadian Club Rye and the Canadian Club 1858. So we'll start the Canadian Club series in a couple of days. But then this weekend, we're going to start a new regular feature, I hope, called Defenders of the Faith Bible Studies. We're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 14 and Abram's militia. So that's coming up soon on Stab the Dragon Productions. Out here.